What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Had a little bit of free time today, not quite as busy as slam-packed of a schedule as I've had the past couple of months. So I figured I'd throw in a little Q&A. No milestones, no big celebrations, just coming around to bullshit with everybody. So it looks like people are starting to pour in. As soon as you are ready, just start firing them off, and we'll get started. Far Cry ranking will be dropping later on tonight. It's actually uploading to YouTube as we speak. That's what I was doing the last couple of minutes while I'm starting a few minutes late, was getting that started. And that should be a fun video. I made a whole brand new background for video game reviews. I've been wanting to do that for a while and just haven't really taken the time to do it. I don't really think my regular horror movie background fits video games very much. So I wanted to make a custom one. I think it looks pretty badass. I'll add to it here and there. And as something to kind of start the conversation, I'm highly debating, if not already pretty much decided, that sometime at the beginning of 2022, I'm probably going to make a separate channel just for video game content, because it doesn't seem to perform too well against all my movie stuff. So I think that would be better for anybody that follows me, that wants to talk video games, that wants video game reviews and rankings and news and all of that. I'll have a separate channel for that. So that's something I'll probably be chipping away at, working on a little bit from now until maybe sometime in January when that'll happen. All right, guys, let's see here. Now that you're here full time, how much money for you to review a Serbian film? $1,000. What's in the end box ever returning? Possibly. Kind of complicated. There's reasons why I kind of lost the taste for doing it, but it was supposed to be a really cool, fun idea that I enjoyed for a little while, and then it kind of got fucked up. Beyond that, it was really difficult trying to get everybody to understand what it was. I kept getting a bunch of movie questions and like the questions that we're going to be talking about a lot here today, and that really wasn't what's in the inbox was ever supposed to be. So at some point I would like to, but since I've gone full time, I've just been diving so much into the video stuff that I haven't really had the time to focus on any audio content. So maybe at some point, but not anytime soon. Let's see. Thoughts on Casino? I like it. I much prefer Goodfellas. I think I even prefer The Irishman. I've only seen it once. For as much as I love some Scorsese films, as much as I love Goodfellas, Casino just never really did it for me. I don't know. I mean, it seems like people are one or the other. They either love Goodfellas or they love Casino. So I'm a Goodfellas guy. Potential Dexter spoilers. Do you think the podcaster will post a picture of Dexter on her Instagram? I'm guessing that's how everyone will find out. Well, I don't know, because I thought that the podcast episode that he was listening to was old. It was an older episode. I mean, this would be decades old. Well, not decades, but over 10 years old, the story of Trinity, by the time she's talking about it, if she's doing it right now. So it's possible. I have no idea. Thoughts and opinions on the Transformers movies. I have only seen the first two. I really haven't had any interest to watch any of the others, and I did not like the second one. I always liked the first one. I don't know if I watched it now, if I'd like it as much, but I liked the first one when it first came out. Second one, I didn't really look all that appealing to me for whatever reason, and when I finally watched it, I didn't really like any of the humor in it. And then from there, all everybody said was how horrible they were, so I never bothered to really watch any of the rest of them. And they're always like 3 hours long too. Can you do a ranking of Sons of Anarchy seasons or The Shield? Well, Sons of Anarchy is probably going to happen at some point, because my Patreon pick, the topics that all my Patreons vote on once a month, that keeps getting brought into the fold. And last one, the top 10 directors, was almost going to be Sons of Anarchy ranking, but top 10 directors beat it out. So I'm sure at some point that's going to happen. It looks like I got a super chat. You an Office fan? I've only seen a couple episodes. I haven't really given it a fair shot, to be honest. I'm not really much of a TV comedy guy, even sitcoms. The only one that I love is King of Queens. I've seen a couple clips from The Office that look kind of funny, but it's never been a show that I've sat down and give a real fair chance to. Mike Carpet, any Spider-Man content coming with No Way Home? I always get fucked up when it's NWH. No Way Home coming out. Yes. As of right now, next week, You're getting the Raimi trilogy, and then the week after that, right before Spider-Man No Way Home comes out, the two Amazing Spider-Man films. I'm not going to be talking about Homecoming or No Far From Home because I reviewed them when they came out, and those are still current reviews, still recent, and my thoughts haven't changed, so no reason to do those. And somebody asked if I was doing Into the Spider-Verse, and I'm not going to do that one either. I'm just going to talk about the live action ones. So yes, you will get some Spider-Man content over the next couple weeks. Are you going to review more The Walking Dead? I'm debating on doing a ranking of all the seasons whenever the show finally wraps, because I've got like a year or so to do that, but I have to get caught up. I haven't watched The Walking Dead since the first season that Negan was on. Was that season 8 or whatever? The season that started with him killing Glenn. That was the last season I watched. I hated that season. I'd already been on borrowed time with the show, and I haven't had any interest to go back and watch it. I've heard it's gotten slightly better, but yeah, it's a possibility. But then again, if I start watching them and I'm hating it, I'm not going to put in, 50 something hours of watching TV for one video if I'm hating it. Stu's Adventures. Hey, Cody from, I'm going to screw up the pronunciation, Wigan, UK. What is your best Child's Play film? My favorite is the second one. Very close, the second one and Bride of Chucky, but the second one is my favorite. I think that one is where Chucky is kind of firing on all cylinders. That's where he's the most fun. His one-liners are awesome. A lot of really good kills. And just everything about that movie. I think it's pretty much perfect. It's pretty much a perfect Child's Play movie. And we got another one. Cody, are you satisfied with the Chucky backstory? I'm on the fence about it. There was some elements of it that I liked. There was some elements of it that I felt just kind of was just thrown in there. Like the last 3 or 4 flashbacks kind of felt like they were just going through the motions and doing whatever. Like I liked the one where he was a kid and he killed his parents. That one was fine. I didn't need an explanation for how he started killing or whatever, but they gave us one. I liked the one where he was a kid, kind of like a Peter Pan one. That one was not too bad. I thought that the one where he met Tiffany was pretty good. All the other ones I could pretty much take or leave, especially the last 2 or 3. They just kind of kept showing them together doing random shit. So I'm not really one that ever needs backstories or explanations or any kind of a prequel for horror icons, but it was okay for what they did. Thoughts on Beverly Hills Cop 4 coming? Is it? I mean, they've been talking about that for God knows how long now. They were going to bring it back, and then they decided to do that TV series pilot, and then that never got picked up, and then they were going to go back and do it again, and then they were talking about doing it with the guy that did Coming to America 2, but that movie kind of shit the bed, so I don't know. I've kind of given up all hope on Eddie Murphy at this point. I mean, Coming to America could have easily been a great return to form from him, and that movie just sucked ass. So I just, for whatever reason, just don't think he has it anymore. So if it comes out, I'll watch it, but I'm not going to be excited or anything like that about it. Are you going to watch Nightmare Alley? Most likely. I'm not going to say for sure yet because it's the day after Spider-Man No Way Home. So if I can get out to the theater that day and check it out, I will. It looks intriguing. I've heard mixed things. I've heard somebody say that it was very boring, and I've heard other people, and unfortunately, they're the people who say that everything is amazing on Twitter says that it's amazing. So I really don't know until somebody that I really trust and understand their taste sees it, and I get an idea of what kind of movie it is. It's going to gauge whether or not I'm really going to make it a priority or not. What are your thoughts on The Matrix, and are you looking forward to Resurrections? I love the original Matrix. I hated 2 and 3. I haven't watched those in God knows how long. And the new one, I'm not necessarily excited for it. I don't think that there's any valid reason to be excited for it. I mean, we can all have hope. We can all be optimistic about it, and I am. But the 2 sequels that we got were terrible, in my opinion. I haven't liked a single film that the Wachowskis have done since The Matrix, and only one of them have come back to do this one. And the trailer looks like all the really weird, trippy shit from the second and the third one that I didn't like, mixed with retreading the first film, like beat for beat. So I don't have any reason to be excited for it just yet. Is it going to be interesting to watch another Matrix movie? Yeah, but I just don't have any reason why I would have faith in it just yet. It's one of those movies where I'm like, okay, we'll see. Oh, let's see here. Why don't you do vids with drum dums anymore? There is plenty of answers for that question out there. Go find it. Isaiah Edwards, are you going to watch and rank The Wire? No. I'm not saying at some point I won't watch it, but I mean, I watched a shitload of Sopranos for one video. And because I honestly wanted to watch The Sopranos. It wasn't like I did it just for the one video, but The Wire, if I was going to watch it to rank it, it would be just for the video, not because there's a Wire movie coming out like we had with Many Saints in Newark. And I don't think a Wire ranking or a Wire review or anything would do that well on my channel. So, no. I've watched maybe 5 or 6 episodes of The Wire, very similar to The Sopranos. It's just very kind of slow, deliberately paced. I'm sure it might get better, it might get a little crazier here and there, but it's not necessarily a show that sucks me in. Hope all is well. Do you ever run out of shelf room for your Blu-rays? Absolutely. I've had to buy. I mean, when I was single, I had 2 of those shelves, and so just in the past 6, 7 years, I've built it out to all of those, and I don't have anywhere else to put them. Like that's pretty much the max as far as what I'm able to put in this room. So luckily, COVID kind of slowed down Blu-ray production for a while. But yeah, I do run out of room sometimes and have to shift some things. There was a point where I took out all the doubles that I had. Like if I've rebought it on 4K, I took out all the regular Blu-rays to try to make room. So yes, I absolutely lose space once in a great while. Oop, hang on one second. All right. Sorry, I wasn't clear. I believe the podcaster will post a picture of Jim Lindsay on her Instagram, and her detectives will make the connection to Dexter Morgan. I mean, we'll see, man. I really don't know. It could be a million different ways that they reveal that, if they even reveal it. Believe in the hype. I've heard David Draymond say he's the front man of one of the most powerful bands. Do you think that's true, and what do you think he means by that? Just confidence in his product, I guess. I mean, I like Disturbed, but I don't think they've been anywhere near as powerful as they were since Indestructible. So I mean, I don't know. I'd have to read the quote and see what the question was, but I'm sure it's just him saying like, "Hey, I love what I do." Have you ever seen Bates Motel? What do you think of it? I think it's awesome. It's a great series, whether you've seen Psycho or not, but it certainly pays off in the last season if you have seen Psycho. But yeah, that's one of the few TV series based off of an existing property, a horror property that I think was really good. Will the Venom movies be on the ranking? Possibly. I didn't even think about that. Why do you love movies? Just curious. I don't even know if you can answer that question. I just love them. I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I just enjoy the escapism. I enjoy the stories. I enjoy the filmmaking process as I've gotten older and become more educated on how they're made. And I mean, I don't know, a ton of reasons. Let me see where I'm at. Doppelganger. Hey, Cody, greetings from Bolivia. Have you checked out the Night House already? By the way, thank you again for introducing me to Frailty. Awesome. Frailty's the shit. I'm glad you watched it. No, I have a fan mail unboxing that I'm going to do over next week sometime. That one of the fan mail I already know for sure is a Blu-ray of the Night House that a friend of mine sent me. So I will be watching it before long because I've heard nothing but great things about it, but I have not seen it just yet. Hey, Cody, are you excited for Cobra Kai season 4 this month? Yes, I'm tempered expectation because I was really excited for season 3, and season 3 kind of let me down just a little bit. I still liked it, but I felt like some of the story directions they took certain characters I didn't really care for. So season 4, if it was the final season, I would be super hyped for it because it feels like they're setting everything up for the All Valley tournament and all the finality of the show, but it's not. They're going to go on for 2-3 more seasons. So I really don't know where they're going to go after this. So I'm a little bit worried that they're going to artificially stretch out the show beyond its natural ending, I feel like this would make sense to be a final season. I don't know what other story they're going to be pulling out or building up to aside from just throwing something random in at the end, like, oh, Cobra Kai actually won. Now we got to do 2 seasons building up to the next All Valley, or who the hell knows. So I really love the show. I just don't want it to be one of those shows that stays beyond its welcome. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Oh, let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss any. It looks like I might have. Hang on. Scrolling. If you could pick one actor to play Freddy that is not Robert Englund, who would you pick and why? I mean, I've said plenty of times that I want them to pick somebody who's mostly unknown or completely unknown, because that's what Robert Englund was when he took on Freddy, and that's why he was able to become that character for so many people. Because if you put like Brad Pitt in the role, you're just going to see Brad Pitt as Freddy. But you put an unknown, that's Freddy. So if I had to pick a name, I've heard Walton Goggins thrown out quite a few times, and I really like that idea. He's not unknown, but he's certainly, on the lower end of, he's a character actor. He's done a lot of TV. He's on this gigantic name. So I think that he would do something interesting with it. If it wasn't taboo, don't you think a Sleepaway Camp remake could be badass? I don't know. See, the weird thing about that movie, why it's so special, is that it has this really strange imperfection to where it's so terrible that it's great. And it's the type of movie where you either love it or hate it. You either see so bad that it's good, or it's just so bad that you don't ever want to watch it again. And it rides that line perfectly to where things are just so over the top and ridiculous and corny and cheesy that it just works. And so if you try to do anything like that modern on purpose, it just would not translate very well, I don't think. And if you tried to make it a serious movie, like a genuine slasher, I don't think it would quite have the heart or what we all love about Sleepaway Camp. So I think that that's a movie, whether or not it's politically correct nowadays or not, that should just be left alone. I don't think you can recreate that. I think the sequels proved that. Yes, Cobra Kai comes out at in the new year. Hope you answered this, but do you like Back to the Future? Well, I have a top 100 movies video that Back to the Future is absolutely on that list, and it's pretty high up. So check out that video. And yes, I love Back to the Future. You know anything about when Terrifier 2 might come out? Next year for sure. Otherwise, I'd be starting to get concerned. But no, I haven't heard any kind of a date. I'm not really following that movie too much. I liked the first one okay. I mean, it was interesting for how gratuitous it was, but it's not a movie that really blew me away like it did a lot of other horror fans. Like, I'm not ready to crown Art the Clown the new horror icon or anything yet. So when the new one comes out, I'll definitely check it out, but I'm not really following it very closely, to be honest. But I had imagined it would come out next year. I mean, it's shot, I believe, so they're editing it and probably trying to find distribution or something. Ever see Pieces 1982? Did you play GTA remasters? No, I have not seen Pieces, but yes, I have played the GTA remasters. I have not played anything on San Andreas yet, but I've played probably about 3 hours or more on GTA 3. Really enjoyed going back to that one. And I played for maybe 30 minutes of Vice City while I was waiting for another game to download and install. I really like the remasters. I mean, I haven't played it enough to maybe encounter all the issues that everybody else is having, but it seems like a lot of people just expected this to be like this pristine modern game, like a total ground up reinvention. And I just don't think that's the right expectation to have. Like, when they announced this, I knew exactly what I was getting. They're going to take the exact same game. They're going to, shine it up a little bit, change the controls, and there you go. And that's all I really wanted. So when I popped in GTA 3 and I could easily play it like a modern game for the most part, that was enough for me. I didn't really worry about this looking perfect or this looking amazing. I've seen some screenshots of some character models in San Andreas that do look a little ridiculous, but that wouldn't kill the experience for me. I would just be like, oh, okay, that's kind of silly, and then you move on with the game. So I don't know. This is one of those times where I feel like the fans just expected way, 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 way too much from what these were intended to be from the beginning. But then again, we all have our opinions, right? A remake of The Burning could be interesting. That movie is super underrated. I would agree on both. I think that The Burning is a really underrated slasher. I think the reason why is because Cropsey is not a very interesting villain. And so he never really penetrated the pop culture like all the other killers in the 80s. It kind of lived on as a cult classic and is known mostly for that raft scene, which is pretty badass. So I would like to see a modern version of that story, retell Cropsey and maybe do it a lot better. That's one of those movies that I would say that you probably could do a better job with a modern retelling. Assuming No Way Home has a full Sinister Six, who do you think the sixth villain will be? Well, let's see. We got Green Goblin. We've got Doc Ock, Sandman, Lizard, Electro, Venom. I mean, they teased Venom was coming to No Way Home at the end of Venom 2, so if he doesn't show up, I'd be a little surprised. Have you heard anything on the Last of Us TV series? I've seen screenshots. That's about it. They look really good. But yeah, I don't know. That's something that I'm really looking forward to, but they haven't shown any kind of footage or anything like that. I've only seen behind the scenes pictures and some of the official stuff that they've released. So I have all the faith in the world that it's going to be fucking amazing. Just wanted to drop a thank you for introducing me to great movies like Frailty, The Collector, Stir of Echoes, and my now favorite horror movie, Jeepers Creepers. Well, I'm glad you checked all those out. Those are all awesome movies. Do you like screenplay writing? Being a fan of film, have you ever written your own screenplays? Not necessarily professional screenplay. I've written stories where I've just kind of, noodled around with storytelling and all of that, but not full on scripts with dialogue or anything like that. I would have to learn how to type that out correctly. But if you want to go back and check out a show that I only did 2 episodes. I'd like to do more at some point, called Pitch Wars. I did one on DC movies and I did one on a horror movie, to where me and somebody else brought our own scripts for an idea and kind of pitched them and had like a contest where the viewers chose which script that they liked more. So there's 2 scripts, stories that I've written that are out there that you can check out. Have you seen 976 Evil, Robert Englund's directorial debut? I do own it. It's back there. It's pretty good. It's not necessarily a horror classic, but it's got some creepy vibes to it, and it's worth checking out if you're a horror fan. Let me see. I think a couple super chats popped in. I hope Fiona Dorff goes on to do bigger stuff. She's more talented than people give her credit. She was in Tenet. Yeah, she's by far the best part of the Chucky TV series, and I think that she should go on to do much more, because she is wiping the floor with everybody as far as acting talent goes. That's not to say that everybody's bad, but her level of acting ability is pretty incredible. So I would agree. She needs to do more. Hopefully she gets a chance to. What do you think Creed 3 will be about? Honestly, I'm not sure. I hope it's not going to be as simple and as predictable as, Mr. T's son is now coming out for revenge or anything like that. I really don't know. This one's not going to have Rocky in it. They pretty much confirmed that. Plus, Michael B. Jordan is directing it for his directorial debut. So I'm curious. I really don't know. I don't know what stories are left to tell that we haven't really, what stones haven't been unturned as far as the Rocky franchise or the Creed franchise, but I'm sure they have a good idea. So I'll be there. I love all those movies. Matrix trilogy greater than Back to the Future trilogy. This is one of those times where it's very important to remember the subjectivity of film, because if I forgot for a moment, I would tell you are smoking crack. But if you like them better, you like them better. Michael Swift, have you seen the TV series Yellowstone, and do you think the CGI animated Resident Evil movies are better than the live action ones? Well, I've never seen the CGI Resident Evil movies. I'm not really a big animation guy, so I maybe unfairly just haven't really given them a chance. And I have not watched Yellowstone yet, but it is on my list of things that I want to watch. I caught up on Sopranos, and we watched some other things. And now that my viewing schedule is starting to open up a little bit, I'd like to watch Yellowstone as well as Ozark. That's another show that I've been interested in, just haven't started. Do you have a Nintendo Switch? I do. I have all the major consoles right now. I have a PS5. I've got an Xbox One, or excuse me, an Xbox One S, an Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch and the Oculus Quest 2. So I pretty much got this generation covered. But yes, I do have one. Hey, Cody, I'm really liking Chucky so far, but do agree with you on most of the negatives. I especially do not like how they retcon that flashback from Curse, how and why Chucky is chased. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they could throw something in there. They could say that both are happening, but it just doesn't make any sense if both are happening. I mean, if he's doing all of that with Tiffany, he's doing his whole side family gig with Nika's mom at the same time as he's with Tiffany. I don't know. It just doesn't quite mesh up to me. So the fact that they made it to where she's the one that called Chris Sarandon just doesn't quite line up as far as my brain. So yeah, I don't know. It was a good season. I just was let down a little bit towards the end. Will we see Pitch Wars return before the end of the year? No, you're not going to see any in December for sure. We've been talking about doing it all year long, but Durbin has become extremely busy with his new job. Of course, my new job, I've become extremely busy. So I would bet a lot of money that it's going to happen next year for sure. We'll make it happen, even if we got to plan it a couple months out, but definitely not going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Jeremy Jahns or Chris Stuckman? I enjoy them both. I don't necessarily watch either of them too much anymore, but then again, I don't really watch movie YouTube. I spend so much time and energy talking about movies and making videos about movies that I don't really like to watch videos about movies outside of videos that my friends do. So, but you kind of have both ends of the spectrum. Jeremy Jahns is kind of that quick comedy take, regular dude talking about movies. Chris Stuckman takes a little bit more of a professional approach, especially now that he's going to be directing. So he talks from more of an educated standpoint, I guess. Not saying that Jeremy Jahns isn't educated, but he just talks a little bit more in depth and goes for a different take on a lot of movies. So I tend to prefer Chris Stuckman for his approach, his insight. But I think Jeremy Jahns is far better as far as humor. I think that's the one thing that Stuckman's always had trouble with, is when he tries to be funny, it comes across very try hard. But nothing but love and respect for both of them. They're the godfathers of what I'm doing right now. Are you going to check out Hawkeye, the TV show? I'm sure at some point. I'm just kind of MCU fatigued right now. Like I can't get excited at all for any MCU movie, even No Way Home. Like they've kind of ruined that movie anyway, but I just can't really get all that excited about them. And the TV shows, I haven't watched any of them since I finished Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I haven't watched Loki. I haven't watched the What If, none of that stuff. So I don't know. I'm just kind of burnt on MCU content for a little while. Will you rank the Stranger Things seasons? I'm sure I will. Yeah, we reviewed the first 2 seasons, but the reviews weren't doing very well. And then the 3rd season came out while we were in the middle of a bunch of stuff, so we just kind of lost sight of it. But when the 4th season comes out, I'm sure I'll review it and rank it for sure. Have you played the Resident Evil remakes? Yes, I've played all of them. I've actually reviewed all of them too. So, well, except the Resident Evil remake for GameCube. That was years ago. But yes, I reviewed 2 and 3. Let me see here. The Obsidian Simp. Night House is fantastic. It's very rare for a film to have such nuanced ideas, but still great execution. Well, good. I'm looking forward to checking it out. What do you think about the fact that there is multiple Candymen? I think that the idea made sense. I just wish they executed it a little bit better. I think that they tried to put too much of focus on all the other Candyman and not enough on Tony Todd in that movie for my liking. I think that if they would have put about 25% more Tony Todd, even just that little bit, that whole concept would have went over a lot better for me. But I like the idea what they're going for there with, you know, the lore and the legend of Candyman kind of, you know, evolving throughout the years and applying to different people. I think it makes a lot of sense. I just didn't want to sacrifice the Candyman that we all know and love to bring out all these other Candymen. So hang on, I'm trying to get caught up. Mr. Gamer, I have a video of the Breaking Bad crawl space ending with no music. Okay, interesting. Tyler Rumfelt, if Glenn and Glenda came back, should they be villains with Chucky or the trump card for the main characters for Chucky and Tiffany? Would love to see Andy and Glenda teaming up. Well, assuming that they don't retcon again, Glenn is good, Glenda is evil, so you'll probably get both. Glenn would be somebody that would try to stop his parents, or at least try to contain what they're doing, whereas Glenda will be right there, you know, cutting up more people than their parents combined. So I just wish Stuckman would keep grading movies. Well, I understand why he is changing up his approach. I mean, I'm not even in the film industry, and I've looked back at some things that I've done in the past as far as videos and some critiques that I've made and jokes, and they kind of make me cringe a little bit. So I understand why him, as somebody that is, you know, now going to be directing his own movie, and as he hopes to do much more, that it would come across kind of odd, to say the least, if somebody who is making movies is also heavily critiquing other people's projects. So I think his approach to where now he's really only doing videos based off of films that he wants to talk about, and the ones that he doesn't like or doesn't care about, he just kind of omits. I respect his decision. Of course, if you're a fan of his, you want him to keep going, but where his career is heading, I think it makes perfect sense. You mentioned you like watching cooking videos on YouTube before. In another Q&A, anything new that you enjoy? Not really new. Sam the Cooking Guy and Not Another Cooking Show are two that I watch a lot. I've also started to watch a lot of barbecue channels now that I got my Rectech grill this year, and I've been kind of learning smoking and barbecuing and all of that. So Meat Church and atbbq.com, all of them, they're pretty good channels as well. I watch Joshua Weissman once in a while, but he's kind of he's turning more into a YouTube personality than somebody that I watch to actually see their cooking. Did you watch Red Letter? Do you watch Red Letter Media? If you haven't, they will make you laugh and smile on your worst day. No, I have never seen any of their videos, with the exception of The Fanatic. Because somebody told me that they had my thumbnail or something on there, so I watched it just out of curiosity, because I wasn't sure if they were talking shit or if they were like, this fucking guy's an idiot or anything like that. So I watched it just out of pure morbid curiosity. They seem fine. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but a lot of people like them, obviously. Ever seen The Room 2003 and Battlefield Earth? I have seen The Room, and no, I have not seen Battlefield Earth. The Room was certainly worth watching. I watched it before I went to see The Disaster Artist, just so I can understand everything that was being talked about in the movie. And it's interesting. It's an interesting little glorious disaster. Do you watch Review Bra? No, I've seen a couple of his videos because he's funny. This is his whole thing, you know, wearing the suits and slicking his hair back, and just, I don't know, he's very quirky to a point where you kind of can't look away for a moment. But no, I don't really watch him. Are you looking forward to the upcoming Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 reboot? Not in the slightest. Um, I don't think that there is any reason to be excited for it, to be honest. Very similar to Matrix Resurrections. You know, we can be optimistic about it, but as far as I'm concerned, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise is one of the most disastrous franchises in horror history. I mean, I'm not to say that all the films are the worst out there, but they've rebooted themselves and reset the timeline like what, 6 times at this point, and it just seems like they can never get on any kind of a speed as far as like hitting the ground and going. They always hit the ground and stumble, and they've rebooted it so many times that it just, you know, what's going to be new about this one? The Leatherface is going to be older, so what? You know, technically he was old as fuck in Texas Chainsaw 3D, so I don't know. If Fede Alvarez was actually directing it, I would be excited, but he's just a producer, I believe, and so uh, I'm not getting my hopes up at all. I'm going to watch it. Maybe I'll like it more than some of them, but I don't think there's any reason whatsoever to think this is going to be a good movie, unfortunately. Do you think the extended cut of Halloween Kills will be better? If it is, it's just going to be fractionally better. I mean, extending it, giving it a different ending, or adding a couple, you know, scenes here and there is not going to fix the integral issues with that movie, especially for me. So, no, as far as I know, the extended cut is just going to be the ending with that extra little bit that they cut off from the test screening. So, that's not going to, it'll make the ending a little bit better, but it's not going to make the movie better. Not enough to really matter anyway. Have you ever seen the movie VFW with Stephen Lang? Yes, I reviewed it. I'm a fan. Favorite Ridley Scott movie? Probably Gladiator. I think that's the pretty easy one to pick. Gladiator, of course, Aliens, really good, although I much prefer Aliens. I love Thelma and Louise. And I'm having a trouble thinking of any other Ridley Scott movies, even though he's done dozens. The Martian's great. We'll stop there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Gladiator would be my favorite. Are you saving Phantasm for a certain 31 on 31? I wouldn't say I'm saving it. I mean, the past couple years, we've really liked to have like a theme. You know, like we did the big three, and then it kind of became its own thing, 31 on 31. So the next year we did the next level of slashers. And then after that, we started going for themes. So we did, you know, the action ones, we did the director showdown, we did creature feature, and then this year we did Unholy Terrors. And so I kind of like planning out themes of horror or themes of movies that work, and then finding movies after that. So it would be hard to think of like aside from like sci-fi horror or something like that to throw Phantasm in. I'm sure I'll get it in there eventually, but I could tell you that Brian and CP are in no hurry to talk about Phantasm, and I'm in no hurry to hear them shit on it. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to be a added anytime soon. All right, I keep saying this question over and over and over and over again. So, what horror premise would you like to see someone explore more of? It seems like horror has been too tame over the years and stale. What's something innovative you would like to see be explored more? I don't really have a concept or a premise off the top of my head. All I can say is that they need to rely more on what made movies scarier back in the day, which is not jump scares, not really, you know, cheap writing. You look at old classic movies like The Exorcist, like The Omen, you know, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and the approach to filmmaking back then is very different than it is now. Now it's all about what can we show you, and even worse sometimes is what can we tell you and not show you. And so, you know, back in the day, they focused a lot more on just putting ideas in your head, putting images in your head, making you think about things, and then not really showing you that what you thought was wrong, you know, letting you sit there and wonder. And we need to get back to more of that kind of approach. That's why movies like The Dark and the Wicked, and I assume Night House are getting a lot of love nowadays, because, like, for instance, The Dark and the Wicked, that's a movie that is just a very simplistic classic take on horror, to where they show you creepy things, or they suggest creepy things, and they don't give you the definitive answers, but they don't overload you with visuals and overload you with answers and exposition and explanations and all of that. So just they need to go back to minimalistic approach, go back to the old stuff, to where we're not throwing millions and millions of dollars at it. Daniel Skinner, are you going to check out the Jack Reacher TV show that comes out February 4th? I don't really have any interest in it. I've never really seen many of the Jack Reacher movies. It's not really something that has my interest. I like action, but I'm not really a big espionage guy. So that's one of the reasons why I couldn't get through the Bond franchise before the new one came out, to do the ranking for that. It's just I like Bond movies, but I like them when they're more modern, a little bit more action packed, like Casino Royale, something like Mission Impossible, where it's very much action packed, just straight up espionage, spy stuff. I enjoy it when it's done a certain way. Why is my nose itching like crazy? But it's not my go-to. So far, which do you prefer, Xbox Series X or PS5? Well, I haven't really had enough time with the Series X to give that a fair shot, but I've always been a PlayStation guy over Xbox. I like them both. I always own them both, and I think that that's how most people should be. The whole like mob mentality, the whole like cult mentality about, we're team PlayStation, we can't like anything Xbox, and vice versa. I think that's ridiculous. But I think that I'm going to do a video this month where I talk about all of the current generation consoles as kind of like a holiday buying guide for like parents out there that might not really understand the difference, or not know which one's the best to get, if you can even fucking find one. But for me so far, I mean, the PlayStation exclusives by far are better. There's just there's no competition. Even after Halo Infinite comes out, if Halo Infinite's great, cool, that's one game. So PlayStation definitely has the leg up as far as exclusives. I think that the way that you live stream and directly from your console to like Twitch or YouTube is much easier and much more user friendly on the PS5. And I love the it's right here. I love the new controllers for the PS5 as well. Not that the Xbox controllers are bad, but these new DualSense controllers are just incredible, with the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers and everything. It's something that seems like it should be a gimmick, but it just makes games so much more. It's an impressive feature. But the big thing that Xbox has that PlayStation has not got anything like. God damn, why is my nose itching? Fuck. Like something's. It's like a ghost. It's just sitting here and look at the fucking feather. What Xbox has that PlayStation needs to kind of kick themselves in the ass and get going on is Game Pass. Now, I'm somebody that I didn't really quite understand what Game Pass was until I plugged in my Series X and started doing some research and looking into it. And it's essentially like Netflix for games. So Xbox right now, you can buy a system, pay for an Xbox Game Pass subscription, which is like $14 a month. I think it's even cheaper if you do a yearly. And you have, from the Xbox 360 days all the way to current generations, you have like 100 something games that you can play right now just for that $14.99 a month. You can download the games, or you can play them through the cloud and not use any of your storage space. And that's fucking incredible. So as somebody who is a diehard PlayStation person, I look at that and I'm like, oh shit, Sony, what you doing? So that's something I'm going to talk about a lot more in depth with here. But yeah, I don't. If you put a gun to my head right now, I probably would still stick with the PS5 just for the exclusives alone. But that's because I'm a PlayStation fan. But it's a close race. It's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Matthew, when will you have another collaboration with Rudy? I like y'all's vids. Would you all ever do a top 10 underrated movies like Frailty, Rudderless? Me and Rudy are doing another live stream on the 17th, I believe. At least that was the date that he was talking about. And I'm sure, yeah, he started doing live streams with me, and he's really kind of taken to that and wants to do a lot more. So we've done more, and I'm sure we're going to start doing more topics, get outside of horror, start talking about other genres. So yeah, you'll see more of that. Rudy's a really good guy. So if you guys have not already seen or subscribed, go check out Rudy's movie reviews. He was the one that guested when I did my live stream talking about the Resident Evil movie, and he's the one that collabed with me earlier this year when Resident Evil came out. So go check him out. Are you a fan of the band Rush? If you are, what's your favorite song by them? Not necessarily. They're a little out there for me. I like some of their music. Like it's pretty much the not a surprising answer. I mean, things like Limelight or Tom Sawyer, some of the songs that everybody pretty much knows. But they're very progressive and unique, and it's not necessarily my kind of thing. But I haven't necessarily sat down with a bunch of their albums either and given them a huge fair shot. So there you go. Did you see the unrated unrated? What the hell? Did you see the unrated cut Evil Dead remake? No, not yet. I bought it on Blu-ray and have not had a chance to watch it. Do you smoke or drink, or do you watch everything sober? I watch everything sober. I have never smoked, never will. I drink on rare occasion, but that's something that I grew out of pretty quick. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to do it not a lot, but you know, however much you expect a teenager and a 20-something to do it. But somewhere along the way, a lot of it had to do with having kids. For some reason, having kids just made me feel like I just don't need it. Like I've never been somebody that needs to be drunk to have fun, and I don't understand people that do. And I'm not somebody that likes to go out and get plastered and have to have a drink every single time I go out, anything like that. So unless I'm at a party where they're handing drinks out, or you know, maybe if I take my wife to her birthday dinner or something, we might have a little drink, but that's about as far as it goes for me. How long have you known 3C Films? He is one of my favorite YouTubers along with you. I mean, I've known 3C since way back when both of us had less than 3,000 subscribers. I mean, he was kind of coming up around the same time as me. He had kind of a funny journey, because whenever he was coming up with me, he had access to a lot of press screenings, or maybe not press screenings, but advanced screenings for public. And he kind of got a bit of a reputation for breaking embargoes, because he used to do that a lot, to where he would get an early review and then he would just post the review and not worry about embargoes. And it was because, you know, he's playing the YouTube game. He wants to be first, get the views or whatever. So I get it. But so he used to do some odd things, and I kind of forgot about him for a while, because I never really talked with him and he never really talked with me. And then he slowly started coming back around to where you would see his videos and hear his name a lot more when he started doing the Ending Explained, and started getting a lot of traction for that. And it wasn't really until then, when he started to really kind of get a lot of subscribers and get some momentum for himself, that he started interacting more with me. And he's always been really nice, really supportive, and a fan of my channel, and I've always appreciated that. And you know, we've talked here and there. I wouldn't say I've talked with him a whole lot, but especially when it came to Chucky, I knew that he would be a good guy to have a conversation with, because especially when the Child's Play remake was coming out, that's when me and him talked the most, because we were like the only two people on YouTube saying, yes, we want this. Make it happen, please. Hope it's good. Everybody else was like, fuck this, Team Mancini. So, yeah, technically, I mean, known him, as in known of him, like 6 years now. But as far as like actually talked with him, had a conversation and everything like that, just the past couple years. Overall, would you say you're a fan of the Halloween franchise? Yes. I don't think it's God's gift to fucking mankind, but I am a fan. Big Boss, hey Cody, how's it going? You said you're a Metal Gear fan. Can we expect Metal Gear Solid video game reviews in the near future? Take care. Um, I don't know about reviews. I did a ranking. Video games are really hard to go back and do reviews for. I would love the idea of video game review series, doing like Metal Gear Solid or Splinter Cell, something like that, Resident Evil. But it's really hard, for one, to find a way to play some older games, because unless it's on Game Pass or unless they ported it over to the PlayStation Store, or if you happen to be somebody that has your PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 all still hooked up, that it's a bitch to try to find some of these older games to play. And beyond that, even if you can find a way to play them, it's really hard to go back and try to play older games sometimes, because games advance so much and have become so streamlined and so clean and so intuitive and so advanced that you go back and try to play something from even like PS3 era sometimes, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, you just can't get your brain can't compute it right. At least mine can't. So it's not like watching an older movie where if I say I want to do a Psycho review series, it's easy to go back and watch the original black and white. Who gives a fuck? I can still watch it and get everything out of it that anybody got out of it in the 60s. But games don't quite have that appeal, because you go back and try to play older games and they don't age as well as movies. You know, you go back and it's fucking hard to play, or it's clunky as shit, or you've played, 5 generations of this game afterwards, and it's hard to go back and play the original version to where before they've improved everything, or even story wise. Like, here's a perfect example. Last year during COVID, I had PS Now for a little bit to where I wanted to check it out, and it was Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 was a game that I downloaded and played for the first time. And that's most people's favorite Silent Hill game. And I had only played, I played the original Silent Hill back in the day. I have fond memories of that game scaring the shit out of me. That was my first survival horror experience. And people swear that Silent Hill 2 is even better. I went back and tried to play it, and I don't really get anything out of it. I mean, I could get how it might look back in the early 2000s, but that just does not translate to 2020. And so that's what makes it hard to do review series, is that I would either have to go off of memory, like something like Metal Gear Solid, which would be kind of easy to do for a game like that I love. But if I wanted to do like a Silent Hill review series, I would have to go find all these fucking games, and with most of them play the version that was out 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And it's just a pain in the ass. So, and then you turn around and you review it, and you're kind of, your perspective is so skewed because you didn't have the experience of the game when that was kind of the new innovative thing. You reviewed it as this old pain in the ass game to play. So that's the bitch. That's the bitch with video game reviews. I love the idea of it, but it's so hard. The Willmeister, did you watch the Bruce Campbell, Devin Sawa, Michael J. White horror movie Black Friday? I have not. I've seen a couple people share the poster. I'm not really even sure what it's about. I'll try to keep it in mind, but overrated sitcoms. Well, I'm not really a sitcom guy, so I would say all of them aside from King of Queens. That's the one that I love. But I've seen a couple episodes of Friends. Friends tends to be the most popular sitcom as far as I understand, and I've never really found that funny. Favorite comic book movie is The Winter Soldier. What is your favorite Christmas horror movie that's not Black Christmas or Krampus? Mine is Santa's Sleigh. Have you seen it? I have not seen it. That's the one with Goldberg, I believe. Favorite Christmas horror movie that's not Black Christmas or Krampus? Well, I haven't seen too many, so the only one you're really leaving is Silent Night, Deadly Night that I know of. And I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but I guess that one. Subtitles watching movies, yeah or nah? Well, I can hear just fine, so no, I don't need subtitles. It actually drives me nuts. My kids watch a lot of anime, which I do not get into, and so they leave the subtitles on when they watch anything. Like, they'll be watching Big Daddy, and they'll have subtitles on, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, fucking turn the subtitles off. You know what the hell they're saying. Since going full time on YouTube, are you genuinely more happy in your life? You seem to be in a great mental state. I'm significantly happier. Yes, I still have some room to improve. I was talking about this with my patrons earlier today because I did a Q&A for them as well, where I kind of, now that I'm only at the house for the most part, I'm starting to get a bit of that never leave the house funk. And so I need to start incorporating some things into my schedule, like going to the gym. That's one that I really want to do. Get back into that again. Something like that, to where I break up my day a little bit more. Wake up, leave the house, go do a few things, come back, then do YouTube. When I just wake up, do YouTube, and then my kids and my wife comes home, and I'm home for the night, and that's how it is all week long. It's taken a little bit of a toll on me, but aside from that, yeah, significantly more happier. Being able to sleep until whenever the fuck I want, when for the past 3 years I've had to stomach 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep pretty much every night of the week except for Saturday. That's amazing. Being able to do basically whatever I want. If I want to do a video on fucking Spider-Man movies, I can do that. If I want to talk about something that I wouldn't normally have the time to, now I have the time to. If I just want to take a chill pill and, kick back and watch some movies or play video games or do some stuff around the house for a day, I can do that now. So the freedom to be able to make my own schedule and all that, yes, it's amazing. The Willmeister, what's the one horror movie Cody Leach is scared to watch and one you'll never watch? There's not any that I'm scared to watch, as in like it's going to be too scary for me. There's just ones that I've made the conscious choice to never experience, like the first question that I had, Serbian film. I know enough about that movie that I don't need to watch it. I don't have the desire to watch a movie where a guy fucks kids, or he fucks dead bodies. It just, I don't need that. I can I've heard the plot. Okay, cool. Whatever. So that's that. Movies like that, all the movies the CP is stuck reviewing now. Those are the ones that I'm like, no, I'm good. Willmeister, I know it's a bit late, but should we expect a video or comment from you about Xbox's 20th anniversary? Video, I mean, no. Is there something special happening? Because I don't know anything about it. I'm not really tied into the Xbox culture as much as I am PlayStation. So if there's something special happening or some kind of a conference or whatever, I'd know nothing about it. But no, I'm not going to be doing a video on it. Cody, when are you going to review Martyrs? The original I have already reviewed. I like PlayStation, but I really don't like their controllers. Okay. I'd be curious on why. There's not a huge difference between PlayStation and Xbox. Just one thumbstick is up here, and maybe a couple of small features, but I don't know. If you said I don't like the N64 controller or any Nintendo controller for that matter, I would understand. But PlayStation's pretty damn close to Xbox, so drug of choice, life. Metallica or Megadeth? Metallica, 100,000%. I like Megadeth, but I have never really gotten into them. I've given them plenty of shots. They certainly have 7 or 8 songs that I genuinely love, but something about, maybe it's Dave Mustaine's voice. I don't know. I just feel like Metallica are better songwriters. Megadeth tends to be, they're probably better musicians in Megadeth. I'll give them that. They're a lot more technical. They go a lot more technical with their playing, but Metallica just makes better songs as far as I'm concerned. They're songs that I can go back to. Something is fucking, I don't know if I got a mustache hair that's like curled up. If it was appropriate to pause this fucking thing and go check out what it was, I would do that, but it's driving me nuts. People are going to think I do coke. I'm sitting here fucking doing this the whole damn thing. Would you ever try edibles? I don't have any use for cannabis or anything. I just don't have any use for it. I mean, I know people like it, people enjoy it, there's supposedly some medical benefits to it, I guess, but I mean, I don't need it. I'm not somebody that needs stimulants or anything like that. So I'm not somebody that shames anybody that does it. I don't necessarily want it in my house, but you do you. That's kind of how I take the attitude towards it as far as the legal shit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any reason. I don't have any need that edibles or cannabis or smoking or anything will fill. So, drug of choice again. Good Lord. Somebody really wants to talk about drugs. Let's see. How far down am I? I don't know how far behind I am. Bill, would you be willing to review a very low budget parody movie from the 80s making fun of werewolf movies? Doesn't sound very appealing the way that you sold it. A very low budget parody. I mean, it wouldn't be my go-to. Let's just say that. I mean, I try to give everything a chance, but you didn't sell it very well. You're like, would you be willing to wear this really underrated parody? I'd be like, oh, I don't know. What is it? You're like, this very low budget makes me think I'm going to be watching a piece of shit. Keep up the good work. Any chances of Sean Chandler joining Autop Stream officially? I mean, Autop Stream is, as far as I'm concerned, Sean's like the unofficial fifth member, honestly. So he might as well have joined Autop Stream already. Though I just hesitate to make something official about it because Sean is very, very busy, as am I. And oftentimes he's somebody that had, like when we did 31 on 31, he has to do a lot of homework, a lot of first time viewings to be a part of those. And I love the fact that he's willing to do all that to be a part of them. But, we barely even get together, just the three of us, me, Brian, and CP anymore, because our schedules, all three of them, are just so fucked up nowadays. So adding a fourth person to that, anytime I want to call something Autop Stream now, I got to make sure all four of us are on board. It just, I don't know, maybe eventually it's more of a logistics thing than it is an invite. Like, I'm not a gatekeeper. Like, as far as I'm concerned, Sean Chandler is on the same level as far as me and Brian and CP and Lindsay, as far as how devoted we all are to anything that we do regarding Autop Stream or 31 on 31. So yeah, he's unofficially the fifth member as far as I'm concerned. But making an announcement would mean anytime he's not there, people are going to be like, where's Sean? What the hell? So I just don't think he even would want to commit to something like that, to where, if something new horror wise is out that is a bit of a deep cut, that he would have to do homework every single time he showed up. Or sometimes, not every single time. Sean's seen quite a bit too. You know what I mean. Do you think the DCEU will get better after the Batman movie? Well, if it does or doesn't, it's not going to have anything to do with the Batman movie, because the Batman has nothing to do with Wonder Woman 3 or whatever the hell else they do. I think the DCU's been doing just fine. I mean, after the little rocky road they had there with the first couple DC Universe movies after Man of Steel, I think they've been doing just fine. Like, I didn't love Wonder Woman 84. Birds of Prey was fine, but they haven't done anything that's like really bad or embarrassing or something that's just like, what the fuck are you doing, since Suicide Squad and Justice League and whatever cut they decided to fucking put out there for Batman v Superman that I'll never watch again. But I think they've been doing just fine. I mean, you got the first Wonder Woman, you've got Aquaman, you've got Zack Snyder's Justice League that all the fans seem to really like. You've got Birds of Prey that did pretty good. You got Shazam that everybody really enjoyed. You've got the Suicide Squad that everybody really enjoyed, although not a lot of people went to see it. So I think they're doing just fine. Carl, if you could change the ending of 3 movies, which would they be and how would you change them? That would make a good top 10 video. Yeah, that's going to be hard for me to come up with off the cuff. Movies that I would change the endings. I've already done a video on good movies with bad endings, so it basically would be that list. And the only one that I can think of off the top of my head is Law Abiding Citizen, the one with Gerard Butler. That's a fucking badass movie, an awesome movie that I think the ending totally sucks. Totally sucks. Almost ruins the movie to where they take Jamie Foxx's character, who they have done absolutely dick to make you sympathetic with him, to make you come back into his camp by the end of the movie, and they make him victorious over Gerard Butler, who, albeit is killing people, is the character that you're rooting for and is the character that you agree with. And so the fact that they just pull this little switcheroo and he wins and he dies and all right, guys, see you next time. It was just such a letdown of an ending where I'm like, dude, he has been 50 steps ahead of all of you this entire movie. You're not going to convince me that you got over on him that quickly. So I don't know. That's a movie that I feel like that last 10 minutes or so, if they were different, that would be like top 100 movies for me easily. Let's see here. Will we get another Jason movie after the lawsuit? Eventually, but don't hold your breath. It's going to be a while. Are your kids into horror as much as you are? My son loves watching scary movies with me. My daughter likes them a lot more than my son does. My son will watch them, and he's certainly pretty knowledgeable just from being around me and watching things or walking in and seeing things. But my daughter will actually seek out horror movies or ask me to recommend one to her. So I think she's one that's going to like that genre a lot more than my son. My son's more into, he's almost on an obsessive level into video games, like, which I get. I mean, I love video games too, but that's the one thing where I kind of want to break him out of his shell a little bit, where he just plays video games. And if he's not playing video games, he's watching somebody play video games. And if he's not watching somebody play video games, he's talking about video games. And I'm like, fucking watch a show, watch a movie. So, yes, both of them enjoy it. But my daughter is the one that I feel more horror fandom from her. Do you think if you made a super chat only stream, it would be successful? Just a little income idea. I would never want to do that because that makes it seem like I'm only doing this for the money, and that's not quite it. That's why I'm answering, questions like yours that are not super chats, because I'm here to just genuinely hang out. I just prioritize the super chats because they paid for it, so I have to. So, and there's already a lot of super chats usually. So let me see. Hey, Rudy's here. What's up, Rudy? Ebard, would you invite Sean Clark on the show for an interview or collab? Think that would be a great show. Forgive me, but I do not know who Sean Clark is. I recognize him, his face. I've seen him on like a lot of horror documentaries and stuff. I guess that answers your question. I'm just not familiar with the guy. I'm sure he's cool. Daniel Garcia, just watch Breakdown based on your recommendation. Hell yeah. Breakdown's the shit. Great movie. Also, what is your favorite TV season besides any Breaking Bad season? Dexter season 4 is certainly up there. Season 5 of The Shield. Season 4 of Supernatural. Season 2 of Justified. I'm trying to just think of shit off the top of my head. What other fucking shows have I watched? Can't see you. You're too far away. Any of those. How have you felt since you left your last job? Well, aside from the part of the question I've just answered about how much happier I am, I'm glad that I got the fuck out of there, because I've talked to a lot of people that have texted me and called me in the weeks after I've left, kind of keeping me updated, or something like, hey man, you're missing all this craziness. And I ran into a good buddy of mine, the guy I used to work right next to, just about a week and a half ago at Little Caesars. And from what he's telling me, it's even worse than when I left. Like, it's reverted all the way back to how bad it was a couple of years ago when I first started there, when it was the dumpster fire of the entire company, that department. So, yeah, I don't think I would ever do this, and I don't mean to make a joke out of something serious, but that's a type of job where I understand why some people swallow a bullet because of their job. Have you seen the trailer from The Black Phone? The feedback I've heard on it is insane. One of my most anticipated of next year. Yes, I feel like the trailer is giving away too much, which is something that Scott Derrickson's trailer did when Sinister came out. So I have not watched the full trailer, even in the theaters. When it comes on, I kind of look down at my phone and don't pay attention to it. But for the minute and a half that I saw of the trailer, it does look pretty awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Would you change the ending of Last Jedi so Luke doesn't die? I would change everything after the Force Awakens. Just go back to the drawing board. Just revert back, jump in the DeLorean, go back, walk into Kathleen Kennedy's office and be like, you fucked it all up. Have a plan this time. I've given you a second chance. Go. I'm somebody that The Last Jedi on a technical level is a great movie, but story-wise, all the decisions that they made, I really did not like. And though I felt like I liked it more when I first saw it, The Rise of Skywalker is a movie that I never really have the desire to watch again because they just reverted and did everything that, like The Last Jedi never happened, and just wasted so many characters and so many storylines. So I genuinely adore The Force Awakens. I think that's a fucking incredible Star Wars movie. It's probably my second favorite Star Wars movie behind Empire. But they butchered that trilogy so horribly that as a casual Star Wars fan, I really don't give a fuck about Star Wars anymore. And it's going to take a while to get me interested again, because it's like, dude, you had success literally on a platter here. You walked into a trilogy that was going to like revitalize Star Wars fandom, and you walked in so half-assed and just didn't give a fuck the whole way through. It's insulting. So yeah, I would change pretty much everything about Last Jedi, and then turn around and change everything about The Rise of Skywalker. Do you think the streaming hurts or helps your channel in the algorithm? It should help it as long as it performs well. I mean, these Q&As and everything, I mean, we got 300 people watching almost the entire time. So by the time I get off of here, it should already be at a little over 1,000 views. And it'll get, I mean, I've yet to do a live stream that really fails. So it works just the same as a regular video, an edited video. If it performs poorly, then it hurts. If it performs fine, then it helps. When you were a teenager, were your close friends into movies? Because my closest don't really care for movies and are much more into video games. To an extent, but not anywhere near the extent that I was. I was the kid that was annoying people with how much I was talking about movies. And I pretty much always went to go see the new movie. So I was always the kid in the classroom that saw it when everybody else would take their sweet ass time. And that was just madness to me. I'm like, the new Matrix is out and you haven't seen it, and it's been out for 5 minutes. What's wrong with you? So yeah, I had friends that liked movies, but my fandom and my obsession was like on this level, and your average person was like down here. There was even a point where a lot of times in class, when my teacher would bring something up that I would relate to a movie, or I saw in a movie or heard in a movie, I would always raise my hand and talk about it. And it got to a point where when I did that, I would hear like 3 or 4 people in the classroom like, oh, this fucking guy again. Not sure if this has been asked. Sorry if it has, but I was curious as to what editing programs you use for videos. I use Adobe. I use Adobe Premiere Pro for videos. I use Photoshop for pictures. I use Audition for the podcasts, and I use After Effects for a lot of the intros and the graphics and all that stuff that I use. So I'm an Adobe guy. It's to me the best that you can buy, or well, I guess rent. You're not really buying it because you got to pay for it every fucking month. But they, to me, have the most features while having the most, once you get used to it, the most user-friendly interface and everything like that. So I prefer Adobe. There's some newer programs out there that people are starting to really recommend, but I'm just so used to Adobe that I don't want to jump ship anytime soon. If you were to choose, would you rather have Jake continue to try and be evil to the end, or Junior not die and instead kill Lexi and follow Chucky? Well, it makes no sense within the context of the season for Jake to go back and trying to be evil at the end. So I guess Junior. I would definitely wanted more from Junior's story than what they gave us. See you, Rudy. I don't know how long ago that was. 5:15. Oh, 5 minutes ago. The Willmeister, since everyone is talking about weed and collaborations, would you ever do a collaborations with Haunted Hippie? I have no idea who that is. When I say I don't know who that is, guys, I don't mean that as disrespect. Like, oh, I don't know who that is. I'm above them. Like, it's somebody's gonna fucking say that I said it that way. But it's just I don't really know a whole lot of people on YouTube outside of my little circle. And if she's a movie reviewer, that's another reason why. For the reasons I gave earlier, I don't really explore movie YouTube too much. So I just genuinely don't know who Haunted Hippie is. Somebody else mentioned it. I noticed you never did a review of Game of Thrones. Wondering if you'd be interested in doing it at some point. Probably not. I mean, Game of Thrones is so rich and dense with characters and lore and settings that I watched through. I watched through the first 2 seasons way back when they were like 4 seasons in, and I liked it, but I wasn't really sucked into it like everybody else was. I was like, all right. Like I kind of forced myself to watch through a lot of it because it was the big thing and I wanted to be a part of the conversation. And I kind of dropped off and never went back to it again until the final season was airing. And when the final season was getting ready to air, my wife really wanted to watch it. So we binged through the entire series in like a month and a half, something like that. And it doesn't help that I always watched it after work at my previous job. So I was always tired, but I always had a hard time keeping up with everything that was going on. Like I would really have to write notes if I was going to do any kind of an official review on it. And the time has passed to where that wouldn't even make sense to do. Like if it was still going on, if the final season was about to air next year, maybe that would make sense. But it's been a couple of years now since the finale aired. People, for the most part, are pissed at the show and they don't want to talk about it anymore, aside from just saying how terrible the ending was, which I didn't hate, but for the most part, that's what fans think. I know they have the prequel or the spinoff or whatever that's coming out, but it's not something that I think would merit the amount of time and the effort to go back through and do official reviews. I just don't think I would be very good at it. You know, it's a show that I can casually watch and have a decent enough time with it. And I do like quite a bit some of the show. Some of that I thought was incredibly boring, like season 3, season 5 were hard to get through. But season 4 and season 6 were incredible. So you have like boring sandwiched with incredible. So I just don't see myself putting the time into watching that show to do reviews. And I don't think enough people on my channel would be interested enough to merit it. Oh, let's see here. Sounds like you and your son are very similar when passionate about something. To an extent, I don't know, man. It's just it's this new age thing with Twitch channels and watching these video game YouTube channels and everything that I just don't understand. Like I love video games and I loved them when I was a kid, but I would never have gotten into watching other people play video games. Like we had G4 and all of that growing up, but I would only ever watch them if they were doing like reviews or doing a show where they're advertising a new game or something like that. There was times where they would show like gameplay where somebody's playing and doing championships or whatever, and that shit would bore the fuck out of me. That's like that whole thing back in the day whenever you'd have like a Sega or a Nintendo and you'd be fighting over whose turn it is because everybody hates watching somebody else play. They want to be the one playing. To me, it's like an extension of that. It's like just play a game. Like what entertainment value do you get watching somebody else play a game? But that's a thing that kids like nowadays. I just don't understand it. So yeah, he's passionate about it, but I don't know, maybe it's similar to how I was as a kid with movies to where it seems obsessive. I don't know. Just as a father, I'm just like, come on, dude, like talk about something else, please. Oh, What are your thoughts on the future of movie theaters? Will they always be there or slowly become a thing of the past? They'll always be there to some extent, even if they scale down and some of them close, which I don't think it's that dire yet. They'll always still be there. There's always going to be a crowd that wants to go to the movies. I know The Last Jedi had many problems, but I liked it nowhere near as bad as Episode 1. That's my scale. That's my bottom barrel. Would you agree? No, my bottom barrel is the Attack of the Clones. Death Magnetic or Hardwired? It's hard because I think the first half of Hardwired, as well as Spit Out the Bone, which is the last track, is phenomenal Metallica. But with the exception of Spit Out the Bone, the entire second CD of Hardwired is filler B-side level Metallica music to me. I don't really care for any of those songs. Death Magnetic, I can listen to every single song on that album, but Death Magnetic feels a little bit more forced. Hardwired feels like natural Metallica. Feels like they kind of got their groove back a little bit, where they kind of mixed some of their styles. They have a little bit of that classic Metallica. They got a little bit of that 90s Metallica. Death Magnetic felt like they listened to people online saying that they should make longer songs again, like that was ever the problem, and they just did that. So you have songs on there that are 7-8 minutes long that feel like they should be about 4 minutes long, but they just artificially made them longer because that's what old Metallica was. So I don't know. That's a hard pick. I'm going to lean Hardwired at the moment, but that is a close one for me. I meant to ask the other day, did Kyle seem a bit off in the recent episode to you? I don't know. Everything felt off in that finale to me. What is the secret to starting a horror YouTube channel? There are no secrets of success on YouTube. None. Anybody that tries to tell you that there are, lying through their teeth. There's certainly best practices as far as running a channel and running it well, but there's no secret sauce. You either make it or you don't. You either continue to make it or you don't. And there's 1,000 factors that go into that. Have you checked out Yellow Jackets on Showtime? No, but I do want to. My wife does as well. It seems interesting. We keep seeing the previews for it when we watch Dexter. I'll probably let most of that season go so that we can binge it, and we'll check it out. What are your limitations on what your son can and can't play? Nothing really. I mean, there's not really any video games nowadays that are offensive or something you need to keep an eye out. Like, we don't get the manhunts or the classic Grand Theft Autos or anything like that anymore. I mean, Grand Theft Auto is still kind of adult, but you know what I mean? There was games back in the day where, I mean, there was a fucking Playboy game where you would have sex as Hugh Hefner and stuff. They don't really make games like that anymore. So I pretty much let him play whatever he wants. He doesn't tend to stray too far from the reservation anyway. Euro Chuck Norris. Hey, Cody, hope all is well. What is the most atmospheric game you have played? To me, it's Deus Ex Human Revolution and Dead Space. Atmospheric. Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, the VR. That was the most atmospheric horror game and the most terrifying horror game to me. Like, you could just breathe and, like, you were so engrossed in it, you could, like, almost feel the cold air just from, like, a fan in your room, like a ceiling fan would make you feel like you're outside feeling the chill. So that one by far for me. Have I heard of Saint Anger? Yeah. Oh, let's see here. Did you see my suggestion on doing a ranking on the Ghostface actors from all the Screams? Would you do that? I actually recorded a version of that video last year that I never released because as I was sitting on the edited footage waiting to review it for when I had time, they announced the new Scream was coming. And so I said, well, fuck this. I'll just wait then. because it's going to be a video I'm going to have to do twice. So yes, I've already had the plan to do a ranking the ghost faces for a couple years now. So when the new Scream comes out, you'll get a re-ranking of the films as well as a ranking of all of the ghost face killers. Manhunt is fucking awesome. It is a good game. It's brutal, but it's a good game. Thoughts on Urban Legend and Ghost Ship? I've always had guilty pleasure with Ghost Ship. Urban Legend is okay. I've never really loved that one. It's one that I can throw on and watch and be fine with. But that one is very much, when you talk about like the 390s Scream era slashers, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Urban Legend is my least favorite of the three. But Ghost Ship I like. Muhammad, appreciate it. Hey, Cody, in regards to the Godfather movies, are they movies that you find overrated, or are they movies that you think are absolutely great, but you just don't rewatch that often? The second one. I've seen all three of the Godfather movies, and I saw them in high school, and I have not watched them since, and I've not had the desire to watch them since. So there's some movies, everybody's got different tastes. And there's some movies that you can look at an objective level and say, that is an incredible movie, but it's not really for me. Or it's a movie that I like for one watch, but it's not something I really care to revisit. And the Godfather movies kind of fall into that category for me. Whereas something like Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw remake or something like that, where I can look at that and say, yeah, that is not anywhere near as good of a movie as The Godfather, but I will watch that movie 100 fucking times before I watch that one again. So it's all just comes down to personal preference. I thought that the first two were really good. I preferred the second one. The third one I didn't really care for. Did you happen to leave Gulfstream? Just a guess, since you said you worked at a place with aircrafts. Place sucks from what I hear. Well, now that I officially do not work there anymore, yes, Gulfstream is where I used to work. I never said it because I knew there'd be some fucking crazy prick who would call in and be like, hey, this guy said something. And there would be somebody somewhere that would be a whack job because I gave a movie that they liked a fucking 3 instead of a 5 or something, that would call in. But yes, that was my previous place of employment, was Gulfstream. Do you have an I officially made it moment in YouTube in your mind? Like certain amount of subs, your own action figure, or anything like that? I don't even know if I would say that I've officially made it yet. I mean, I don't even know what I would consider that to be. I'm lying. Being able to leave my job and do this full time, that was the moment that I said I've officially made it. And the first month that I do it is by a landslide, like the most successful month that I've ever had, to like a shocking degree. That's where I look at it and I say I've made it, because everybody's got different goals. There might be sub goals. It might be how much money they make a month. It might be 100,000 to get the plaque on the wall. It might be 1 million. It might be when somebody from Hollywood references my name. But that was the moment for me when I looked at the work and the time and the effort that I put in for 6 years while maintaining a full-time job and 3 kids and a wife. And that's a job all on its own. And being able to walk away from a 9 to 5, or excuse me, a 5 to 4, fucking 5 a.m. and say, nah, you can keep all that shit. I'm good. I'll do it on my own. That was the moment for me when I looked at it and said, yeah, I've made it. What is your Texas Chainsaw Massacre ranking, and also any Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 updates? Well, I have a video where I rank all the Texas Chainsaw movies, so that would probably be the more entertaining answer to your question, is just to watch the video. All I can tell you from my memory is that the Next Generation is my least favorite, and the remake from 2003 is my favorite. Any update on the other movie? No, I'm not following it. It could drop tomorrow, and I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll watch it this weekend, maybe. Ingrid Plaza, do you have any interest in seeing Spencer? It was kind of a unique and disturbing take on Princess Diana's life. Not really. I mean, it's hard because I mean I officially cover movies for a living now. So I don't want to close myself off and say I only talk about these types of movies. But the Oscar bait, prestige films, the shit that always comes out at the end of the year and the beginning of next year, 90% of those movies don't really do anything for me. I can appreciate them on a technical level. I can say objectively that it was well made, but very, very rarely do I watch one of those movies and go, man, I need to own that. I want to watch that again. Like Three Billboards across Ebbing, Missouri. That's a movie that's one of the outliers where I watch that and I'm like, that movie's fucking awesome. I'm going to watch that again and I'm going to own it. But then you get a lot of other movies that come out that are the big Oscar, contenders that I could watch 10 of them and might genuinely enjoy 2 on a good year. So a lot of times I just don't bother with it just because I until now, I really haven't had the time to. But even now, I would have to set aside a lot of time to watch a lot of these screeners and watch a lot of these movies in theaters to potentially not really have a very good time through a lot of them. So now, Princess Diana, that story doesn't really interest me. Just being honest. Can you rank American Pie? I would love to. I would love to at some point. That'd be a fun ranking. Oh, let's see here. What do you think of Rob Zombie making a Monsters movie? I am increasingly curious about it. I'm somebody that, as much as I have disliked a lot of his movies, I still champion the hell out of Rob Zombie because I know he's got an amazing movie in him. I know it. As a director, he's got an amazing movie in him, whether it's a horror movie or not. It's just his writing that always gets in the way of it. And he's somebody that loves 100% creative control. He loves to put his wife in every single one of his movies. He loves to write his script and direct his script. And you know what? All the power to him. If he can continue to do that, he's got his fan base. He's not somebody that really seems like he's overly concerned with making it very high on Rotten Tomatoes, nor should he be. So, you know what? Bravo to Rob Zombie. If you have the ability to do that with your career and relish in it, by all means. But the Monsters movie, why I am curious about it is because it's going to force him to go out of his wheelhouse a bit. And what I mean by that is I really don't see Universal giving him money and letting him do this if he was going to make it like Devil's Rejects or the first 15 minutes of Halloween. If Eddie Munster's going to walk in and be like, "What the fuck, Dad, Mom, you bunch of cunts," and blah, 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 I don't see Universal letting him make that movie. And I don't think that he would want to make that movie, as much as he tends to kind of stick in that wheelhouse as far as his dialogue and the type of characters that he likes to represent. I think he has such a deep-seated love and respect for Munsters that I don't think he would want to do anything other than a really faithful adaptation. The house looks incredible. I like the makeup designs, even the fact that he casted his wife. She's not the best actress in the world, but you know what? Whatever. She'll hopefully be pretty good in it. But I'm morbidly curious in seeing what he is going to do with something that he loves as much as he loves the Munsters, that he can't, country fry and redneck the fuck out of. So I really think this is going to be the first time we get to see Rob Zombie make a movie that doesn't necessarily feel like a stereotypical Rob Zombie movie. So I am eternally curious about it. And I already have plans that whenever the Munsters is coming out, I will do a Rob Zombie review series because I've already reviewed the 2 Halloween movies. I have reviewed the Devil's Rejects. So I need to review the Firefly trilogy, and I reviewed 31. 31 was the movie that birthed Fuck This Movie. Fun fact. So I need to review the Firefly trilogy, and well, I guess it won't be a Rob Zombie review series then. It'll be a Firefly trilogy review series, and then I'll rank all his movies after the Monsters comes out. Muhammad with another one. The fact that Cody had a job that starts at 5 a.m. while still putting out awesome content is an achievement in itself, and the decision to go full-time was a brave one that seems to be paying off great. I appreciate it. Yes, it was exhausting, doesn't even say it. I mean, my typical day was I would wake up at 4 a.m., usually tired as fuck, because I am somebody that I have a hard time getting to sleep at night because I'm such a night owl. And mentally, I always want to do so many things that my brain won't let me stop. It's like, what are you going to sleep for? We got things we can do. So I would wake up at 4 a.m., work from 5 a.m. until 3:30 on a good day, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, drive home, exhausted. If I was to do one video, I would be shooting, editing, and then publishing that video. Usually would take me till about 7 o'clock if I start the moment that I get home. Unless I got home at 4, but then I would shower. I'd usually relax a little bit. I wouldn't really start YouTube until about 5 o'clock, no matter what time I got home. Give myself a little bit of a buffer. So if I started at 5 o'clock, I would get my video done by about 7:30 if it was a more labor-intensive video. Then I'm trying to cook dinner for my kids at 7:30 is a little bit late. So sometimes I would stop YouTube, go do that, then come back up and continue YouTube. But then by the time we're done with dinner and I'm sitting down with my wife, it's like 8:30, getting the kids to bed, getting everything settled. It's after 9. Then at that point, I wake up at 4 in the morning. So if I want to get 7 hours of sleep, I got to go to sleep right that moment. But that would never happen. So we'd watch TV or, talk or hang out or whatever. And normally I would fall asleep somewhere between 10:30 and 11:30. And then the day would start all over again. And the weekend was really the only time that I had to do a lot of YouTube work where I would try to record 3-4 videos. But then I'm taking away my free time with my family. And so it was never really a win-win situation. It was always a give or a take. So yeah, it was fucking exhausting, especially some of those months where I just started to crank out content a lot. It was like I never stopped. It was like I woke up and just went until I passed the fuck out. Oh, Robert Henry, congrats on going full time. Enjoyed your reviews for some time. You've got me back into movies and inspired me to upload more videos. Awesome. Keep it up. Should I watch the old Resident Evil movies before I see the new one tomorrow night? No, there's no need to. If you're morbidly curious, yeah. You could have some guilty pleasure with them, but there's nothing that you need to know from those movies to walk into this one. This one's a complete clean slate. And the other ones might actually set up your expectations wrong because this one's a straight up horror movie, which is what the games were, whereas the previous 6 movies were basically action films. Yes, it is 100%. Ingrid Plaza, a book I would recommend to you is My Heart is a Chainsaw. She is a modern teen obsessed with Freddy 80s horror, and she ends up being a real life serial killer. Interesting. Let's see. Was there a fall? Oh my God. Was there a falling out with Lee from Drum Dums? I was watching some of your old videos and saw you guys used to have a bunch of collabs. I'm sorry if I'm digging up bad blood. I was just curious. I think you answered your own question, buddy. I need to stop clicking on these before I start reading them. What did you think of Malignant? I thought it was a modern version of Basket Case. Well, I've never seen Basket Case. And everybody in the fucking comment section, let me know that I didn't see Basket Case, because I was like, oh, this is really unique. It's really something different. And they're like, what the fuck, man? You talking about unique? You ain't seen Basket Case? And I'm like, no, I haven't seen every fucking movie that's ever been released ever, contrary to popular belief. I loved Malignant. I just kind of liked it when I first saw it, but it's the only movie this year that has continuously stuck with me. And the more I think about it, the more I've rewatched it, the more I've grown to love it. I just think it's such a batshit wild movie that it wasn't something that you could fully absorb in one watch. And so it's going to be one of my favorites of the year for sure. Are you someone that can separate the art from the artist, even if you know the actor or director is a terrible person? It totally depends on the situation. It depends on the movie and it depends on the person. Because, for example, Jeepers Creepers. I can separate Jeepers Creepers from Victor Salva. And it's because I loved and watched Jeepers Creepers for years before I even knew anything about Victor Salva. So I already had that love for that movie. Now, watching a movie when you walk in knowing about the director or knowing about an actor or whatever will color your response to the movie. So it's a totally different experience. And it depends also on what the person did. Like Victor Salva, like what he did, like that's something where I would never want to support that person in any way, shape, or form. But I already love Jeepers Creepers. I can't help it. I can't just not watch Jeepers Creepers. So I have my copy. I watch my copy. It's not like he gets paid every single time that I watch it. So that's kind of how I justify it in my own head. But if I was, Jeepers Creepers came out next week and people are like, hey, you going to go watch that movie where the Victor Salva guy made? And I'd be like, no, no, I'm not fucking seeing that movie. So it depends on the timing, and it also depends on the crime. Like I said, that's an extreme example. That's about as bad as you can get. But, if you have, I can't think of another example, but like you had, Leonardo DiCaprio got caught beating his wife one day. Am I going to go see the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie? Probably. Not that I condone violence against women, because I don't at all. But, there's just it just depends. It depends on the level of the crime. It depends on the level of my love for that actor. I mean, Kevin Spacey. There you go. Perfect example. Kevin Spacey. All of the movies that I have already grown up loving with Kevin Spacey. The Ref, The Negotiator, all of the Seven. I still love them exactly the same after all these things have come out about Kevin Spacey. Would I feel odd watching something new with Kevin Spacey? Yes. So it's different. Every person has a different answer. I don't know. Maybe there's not a correct answer to that question. Where did you get that Pulp Fiction art piece behind you? I got that from iCanvas, I believe. iCanvas.com. That's the letter I, Canvas. I'm pretty sure that's where I got it. It wasn't cheap. So you go looking for it. Be prepared to pay. Would you recommend the Resident Evil Origins collection to a newcomer? Only if you're somebody that can either enjoy or at least tolerate tank controls. What I mean by tank controls is where you literally walk forward or backward and you move your direction like this. Like it's not a over-the-shoulder action game like modern stuff where you go all around the place. It's old school survival horror, and both Resident Evil and Resident Evil 0 are tank control games. So if you're somebody that either likes that style or can at least tolerate it to get the story, yes, I would recommend it. If that looks like an absolute nightmare to you, then just go to the Resident Evil 2 and the Resident Evil 3 remake and start from there. Can you juggle? No. How is your dog doing? My dog is doing fantastic. If I wasn't live, I would bring her up right now, but she is huge. She is the same size as my 7-year-old husky. So as soon as we got her back to health, she's been a happy, crazy little dog ever since. Well, I say little, now she's a crazy big dog. But yeah, she's doing very good. Thank you. Are you a fan of the Father and the Bride movies and the Cheaper by the Dozen movies, both starring Steve Martin? I have never seen the Father of the Bride movies, and I liked the first Cheaper by the Dozen when it came out. I haven't seen it in years. I never watched the second one, but I like Steve Martin. Spacey has never been convicted of a crime. That's true, but he also hasn't been proven innocent. So it's just, I'm not somebody that is the you're guilty until proven innocent type of thing. But I mean, that's a story that I believe. I'll just put it that way. That's a story that I believe. Sometimes it's a story that I don't necessarily believe. Favorite rock or favorite rock star cameo in a movie? There's so many. I mean, you got Alice Cooper in Wayne's World. You've got a lot of them in Rockstar. I don't know if it's necessarily a cameo because it's really just a tiny, tiny role, but he's got about the same amount of lines as Alice Cooper does in Wayne's World. So I would say Gene Simmons in Trick or Treat, if you consider that a cameo. It's really not a cameo, it's a role, but that's my favorite one. Let's see here. Am I caught up on super chats? I believe I am. Yes, I am. All right. I'll cut it off at 2 hours, guys. So another 15 minutes or so. Billy Idol and Wedding Singer. That's a good one. It's a really good one. No. Oh, let's see here. What do you think of the Fallout game series? My favorite games of all time, except Fallout 76. I've only played Fallout 3 a tiny bit, and I played Fallout 4 all the way through. I really liked Fallout 4. It's not my favorite game series, I'll say that, but I like it. It's interesting. I like the RPG elements. It's just a very long game. And Fallout 4 really let me down with the ending. I thought the ending was a big disappointment. Thoughts on this season of Survivor? It's getting better. It's been a little rocky. You know, they really went hard in the beginning with all this virtue signaling and stuff like that. And I'm not typically somebody that gets bothered by that. I actually get more annoyed by the people bitching about, something's woke. I usually get more annoyed by the people bitching than the actual thing that might be woke. But it was so ridiculous how hard they were going with that for the first couple episodes that it was annoying. I don't really think there's anybody that stands out a lot to me this season. There's a couple people that I like on the tribes, but nobody that's really like this huge standout to me. And I really dislike all the advantages and the changes and everything that they're doing. It just seems like every single episode there's some new twist, some new advantage, some new idol, some new rule, some new disadvantage. And it's just like, fuck, dude. Like, is there even skill in the game anymore, or is it just luck? I mean, you have the one episode where the chick gets voted to go to the island by herself, which is usually a punishment, aside from maybe there being an idol out there that you have to work your ass off to find. And they just walk up to her and they say, "Hey, I know you're at the bottom right now and you got voted off because of that, but you have the power now to change everything. So smash this hourglass." A decision that nobody would decide not to do, by the way, even though they make it like an option, like it's a big mystery whether or not she did it. And then you come back in and it's like, well, how fucked up now? Because you have what, 6, 7 people here that won the challenge. They beat the game. They are the ones that win. And now, because of something that you just wrote in last minute, now they are the losers. What the fuck? Even the thing that happened last night, where you got the challenge to where if you decide to do the challenge and you're the first one out, now you have to do this little drawing at the tribal council. And if you survive tribal the do or die thing, then you're immune. But if you lose, you go home and nobody votes. Like, it's like, what the fuck? That's so stupid. That's so dumb. So yeah, I don't know. They're trying a lot of artificial ways to make it seem like harder, crazier Survivor, because they had to take like a week and a half off of it for COVID and not do the full 39 days, but it's not really landing for me. I'm still enjoying watching it, but it's not a standout season so far for me. Some good moments, but Ozzy Osbourne and Little Nicky, that's another really good one. All right. The Willmeister, Kiss's disco album or Metallica's new metal album, which are you more likely to listen to? Saint Anger, I guess. I'm not a disco guy. I don't even know what Kiss disco would sound like because I never experienced it before. Saint Anger has about 4 really good songs on it. The rest of them are just trash. Let me see. Do you still plan to rank the Far Cry games? That video drops later tonight. I was literally uploading it as I started this live stream. Mr. Crowley, a movie directed by Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. Have you seen it? I have never even heard of it, which is shocking. Do you think they will do new Chucky movies while the series is going, similar to how X-Files did it? Nope. As long as they're on TV, they're going to stay on TV. As a big slasher fan and a member of the LGBT community, you forgot a couple letters, I'm pretty sure. I've heard what you had to say about characters of the community, and I think you're awesome. Subscribe and a patron. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Let me see. Are you nervous about the Last of Us TV show? Nope. I think everything that I've seen and heard about it so far makes me believe it's going to be amazing. I'd say basically all the cameos in the Bill and Ted movies. I count Jane Wideland as Joan of Arc as well because each one is hilarious and awesome. Okay. What do you want Quentin Tarantino's last movie to end his career with? Kill Bill 3 or something else? First of all, I don't believe at all that he's going to make 10 films and quit. He might go away for a while, but he's a creative guy. He's not going to be able to sit and not make something. So you will see another movie from Quentin Tarantino. You mark my words. But just for the sake of the question, let's pretend that that's not the case. Would I rather see Kill Bill 3 or something else? I'd rather see something else because Kill Bill is completed story now. I mean, you would have to force a third one. As much as that might be cool to see, I would rather see him do something different. Will Meister, I know you didn't like the movie, but what about Alice Cooper and Freddy's Dead? Nope. I answered that one for free 5 minutes ago. Nope. Let's see here. When did you start playing guitar and do you still play? I very, very rarely pick up my guitar, so I would suck ass if I decided to pick it up and play now. But I started playing when I was 15, 16. I moved down here and didn't really know anybody, was always pretty quiet and was always kind of reserved. And so I kind of took up guitar playing. It was something I always wanted to do because I was at home by myself a lot. And so I've been playing since then. I was really good up until, my early 20s or whatever when I was single. Ever since I've had kids and everything, I hardly ever have time to play. And for the longest time, we lived in apartments and everything where I couldn't play because it would be too loud and there'd be noise complaints and everything else. So I could play now, finally. I have my guitars and everything just behind me, but I just never really have the time to do it. I'm always doing YouTube or something else. So I've kind of, I'd like to get back into it, but I'm certainly as rusty can get. Have you seen Train to Busan? Any plan to review it? Not really any plan to review it yet. Maybe when they have the American remake or whatever come out, I might review the old one and review that one. I have seen it though. It was good, a little overhyped for me. People made it out like it was the most amazing thing ever. One of the side effects of the internet. Everything's either a fucking 10 out of 10 or a 0 out of 10. But it was good. It was a good movie. It had some good effects. There was certainly some tension there. It was a good story overall. Sad ending. So I liked it. What's a movie that you feel is so misunderstood by a lot of people? Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I think that one's really misunderstood by a lot of people. I understand why people don't like it and choose not to understand it, but I think a lot of people just get a fundamental wrong impression of what he was trying to do. So I would say that one. Do you miss the dislike button? No, don't give a fuck. That doesn't help or hurt anybody. That was a useless thing. That was something for YouTube to say, look, guys, we care about you. The dislike button actually helps your channel, believe it or not. If somebody hits the dislike button, they count that as engagement. It doesn't matter. YouTube likes the dislike button just as much as it likes the like button. It might make people more encouraged to hit the dislike button, and it might make some people that are a little bit sensitive feel a certain way about the dislike ratio on their video. but when somebody dislikes your video, all that accomplishes is it tells YouTube that you don't like videos like this, and so they're less likely to recommend videos like this. So really all you're doing is helping the creator get engagement, helping the video that you're disliking, and fucking yourself if you are trolling and not, legitimately just saying, oh, I didn't care for this one. So that's all the dislike button ever did. Taking away the dislike counter, that doesn't do jack shit. There's so many other things that YouTube needs to focus on. I mean, the fact that you can't block an IP address or block a profile and all future profiles that somebody makes is fucking ridiculous when you can do that on other platforms. So somebody can troll you or send you hate mail or send you death threats or whatever it might be, and you block their profile, and all they got to do is make another profile. And we've seen it in the chat before. Somebody will do it. 30 seconds later, they're back again with another name, and you have to block that profile and just keep going as long as that person comes, instead of just saying block all, and that person's just gone from your channel forever. So if they're really trying to focus on bullying and mistreatment and all that with their creators, start fucking there, not the dislike ratio. Are you a fan of trauma movies like Toxic Avenger? Never seen any of them. I don't think they're my cup of tea. Eventually I'll have to watch the Toxic Avenger. I got a buddy of mine, Danny, that loves that movie. It's always told me to watch it, and they're making a remake with Peter Dinklage that I'm curious about. So I need to experience it. But they're the really, really ultra low budget bad movies. They got to be almost like Sleepaway Camp. They got to get it just perfect for me to like it. Most of the time I just see bad and I'm like, not really my thing. Whoops. What is your favorite Star Wars trilogy? My prequel. Oh, okay. My favorite Star Wars trilogy is the original one. Easily. That's a pretty easy question. What's your favorite PS5 game that you've played so far? I just started Guardians of the Galaxy and loving it so far. I loved Guardians of the Galaxy for like the first hour or two, and then it got really monotonous, really repetitive, really drawn out. So hopefully you have a better experience with it than I did. My favorite PS5 game so far, if we're just counting exclusives, I would say Deathloop. My favorite game of the year is Resident Evil Village, but that's also on PS4. So it just depends on what question you're asking. But either way, Village was fucking awesome. I loved it. I played it and beat it like 7 or 8 times. Deathloop was really fun, really cool, really unique. I loved the whole setup about, making the perfect loop and finding out all these things. And I platinumed that game as well. So Deathloop, as far as exclusives to me, was my favorite so far this year. All right. A couple more, guys, and then we'll wrap up. Do you want Glenda to be in season 2? If they're used well. I mean, I did not like the way they used them in Seed, but it doesn't mean I'm not willing to give the character another chance. But yeah, just for the sake of throwing them in, or if they're exactly like they were in Seed, no, I don't need that. But if they have something cool or useful to make the show better with those characters, then yeah. Every time, Sumney. Why do you do this, dude? That's so annoying. Nobody fucking wants trolls. Nobody. Did you get Malignant and Shang-Chi? No, I have not yet. I'm going to be going into town, into Savannah on Monday. So I will get them then. Usually I order them from Amazon or whatever, but I'm getting a little bit too comfortable with online shopping sitting at home. So I need to kind of taper myself back before I spend more money than I make. Especially with the holiday season. I'm just trying to go big with all these presents. So yes, I will be getting both of those, but on Monday. Top 5 John Hughes films. You've got Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, Weird Science. I don't think you can count Dutch because he just wrote that one. Breakfast Club. "16 Candles." Those last two could kind of interchange, but those top 3 are hard top 3. Have you played Spider-Man DLC on the Avengers game? What do you think Wolverine will be like? I hope there is dismemberment and stuff. No, I have not played any of the DLC for the Avengers games. I lost complete interest in that. I only made it a couple hours of the campaign and just didn't like it at all. So I haven't played any of the DLC. What do I think Wolverine will be like? It better be violent and dismemberment and everything. I mean, that opening looked kind of gritty. So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be a mature game or not, but I hope it's going to be awesome. I hope it's going to be something that is on par with the Spider-Man game that they made. All right, let's see here. We'll do one more as the last one. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Super chat made that decision easy. What is your favorite so bad that it's good movie? I Love the Room. Probably Sleepaway Camp. There's movies that I like that are objectively bad, but I wouldn't say that it's good because it's bad, except for a movie like Sleepaway Camp. Like Trick or Treat is a movie I adore, but it's kind of a low budget 80s movie that's very niche for who will understand it, but it's not awesome because it's bad. It's awesome because it's awesome for me as a metal fan. So I would say Sleepaway Camp. And then we got one more super chat, so I lied. What do you think about the No Way Home trailers? Trailers haven't done anything for me whatsoever. The Doctor Strange seems goofy. All of his MCU jokes, Scooby-Doo, this crap, it is lame as fuck to me. I think they've completely botched the marketing and the lead up to this movie completely. So this is a movie that I really wish we could all walk into thinking we're about to watch a Spider-Man movie, and then you walk in and you get Spider-Verse and didn't even know it. Like if they could have just marketed it in a way where we didn't know that, but they've led with all of it. They've led with all the announcements. They've led with all the news and all the casting and the recasting and the bringing back and all of this. And so they have absolutely botched any potential excitement that a lot of us have, because when you walk into the movie, one of two things is going to happen for most people. You walk in, by the third act, you see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and you go, yeah, see, yep, they are in it. Cool. But there's no like shock. There's no like, holy fuck. The other option is you walk in, they're all telling the truth, and they're not in the movie. It's just the villains. And then we all walk out. And even if it's a 5-star movie, we're all going to walk out and go, ah, fuck, man, they weren't in this one. That's disappointing. So that sucks. So I hope the movie is going to prove me wrong and be awesome, but my expectations are nowhere near where they should be for a movie like this. Well, that's it, guys. That's going to be it for me. I appreciate all of the super chats. I appreciate all the questions. It was a fun time. I'm going to try to do more of these at least once a month. Try to have a little bit more of a chilled out, unedited, unscripted thing going on. So I did also do one of these this morning for my patrons. Went on for about an hour. So if you guys have not already considered joining my Patreon, the link is in the video description of pretty much every video, not the live videos, because those wipe out all my upload defaults, but click on any other video or go to patreon.com and just search Cody Leach. It might even be patreon.com/Cody Leach, actually. And check out all of the different tiers over there. It really is the best way to support the channel, and especially now that I'm full-time, it really is the lifeblood that keeps the channel going. And you also get cool perks like the Patreon pick videos that we do every single month, like the exclusive Q&As, and I'm going to start doing more hangouts and stuff like that on Zoom or something. So please consider that. But for everybody else that might have already considered it, thank you anyway. And thank you guys for hanging out for 2 hours with me and chatting about a bunch of random stuff. So I appreciate everybody. Everybody have a good night, and check back, I'll say about 8 p.m. or so for the Far Cry ranking, and show that video some support, please, because my video game stuff struggles just a little bit. But thank you, everybody, and see you next time.